I can't believe we're here. I'm here with Nathan Mowery. We're talking about everything you didn't know about Nathan Mowery, which is about DDP and about deathmatch and about Sick Nick Mondo and about Jackass. We're going to talk about Jackass. This is Weekend at Effy's. Go to weekendateffys.com for more and look at everything below and follow Nathan Mowery. Don't want to do Zoom because it just feels like not personal. And you know how many Zoom interviews I've done where I'm like, I feel like everything's a second off when they put it out.
Oh,
where you kind of go, yeah. I don't want that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you're going to have to get right on this thing.
Okay.
You're going to have to get right on it. And you're gonna, feel free to yell.
Cool.
Feel free to yell. I've been trying to get, I went to get brunch last week in Chicago. And I got a tattoo. Like one of the 50 cent, like put in the coins thing. And it was like all the tattoos on there were like tough, American, like sailor tattoos.
Yeah.
And the one that came out was two bees with panda bear faces on flowers and it said be yourself. It didn't even make any sense. There was no reference to why they were pandas.
That's great.
Does that feel comfortable? Like, kind of get where it's going to be comfortable talking to him. Like, what feels right for you?
Yeah, get in there. You
There
can
we
get
go.
in there. You can get in there. Yeah, just let Peter work the magic. They have
Cool.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
that's
good.
what-
Now
yeah,
we're
that's
now
good.
we're looking.
There
We've
you
got
go.
better. Yeah, you can take that chair. Lucy might come try to sit in your lap too.
I will walk.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I am
There
not
you go.
upset.
The dogs are
Please.
loving you.
I know
Yeah.
I love the dogs. I love dogs.
They need the problem is like usually people come alone, and so the dogs then want to lick their legs the whole time, and it can be very jarring to be licked.
I will run defense.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think they're more into whatever you're doing too. That's
Yeah, they are focused on you right now.
How are we feeling?
great.
Good. Ah, yeah.
What a vibe.
Whenever y'all want to go, we're good.
Incredible. I'm here today. Should I call you the Killbilly?
Sure, yeah.
Can I
we're
call you
going
the
to-
Killbilly?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm here with Nathan Mowery, who I met through Wild Means in the spirit of pro wrestling. Sometimes I think people find pro wrestling through completely weird ways just because it has like a weird magnet inside of it. What would you primarily, if you were meeting somebody, like what would you, I guess it depends on what you're doing. What would you call yourself? Is this, we're opening with really big, like, can you define yourself in a term? Can you?
Let's see. In what way? What do you mean? Like,
Well, I'm just thinking like you've done video work, you've done matches, you've been a promoter. You're like a mutable character that can fit into wherever needs to be fit into, but then also like you know how to grab onto stuff and make it your own. Which like isn't that the key of wrestling? Isn't that the magic?
oh yeah, absolutely. I think like whether it be in film or just being a wrestling character or a promoter or whatever, there's just so many just different little avenues to create and have this really fun like artistic like expression and like I've been like so stoked to be a part of wrestling in so many different ways, from filming it to being in the ring to promoting it and booking and whatever else. So.
Yeah, and it feels like you went in and kind of grabbed each version of that. Like, do you remember the first time we ever met?
Was it like Southern Honor?
It was like a Southern Honor
Yeah.
show. And I don't remember if it was the very first time. It was one of the first times. And you were doing a spot where you got put through a table,
yes,
like in my match, right? Or in a match that was going on. Do you remember? Like, I'm not saying this because I'm of course going to remember it as I'm the main character.
Oh,
Right?
right.
Like,
Yeah. I did get put through a door. I think I'm trying to remember what.
It was like off
was
the
it-
side of the ring apron, and
Okay.
something happens in the match, and you get knocked off the door.
Yeah, I think that was like that was my first wrestling appearance ever. So that was actually
So
my
I-
debut. That was
I
the
was
Rumble
there
Jack.
for the debut.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you were in the Rumble Jack.
I was
do
okay. So
believe.
it was the Southern Honor Rumble Jack.
Yes.
You were in the Rumble Jack, and at the time you'd been doing a lot of like film work with them,
Yeah.
helping them. Okay, so you're shooting this. Are you bringing? Hey, I want to shoot this like wrestling, or are you going? I'm going to shoot this like I shoot it, and they're going to be so impressed they're not going to question how I'm doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think like for me, it was like, well, I could shoot this like wrestling and shoot it 30 frames a second on like a camcorder type of camera, or I
Right.
can use like a good DSLR and like some good lenses where we have some depth and shoot it in 24 frames so it feels more like a
So it
movie
feels
or
like
show.
cinema.
Yeah, and I think that's just, it makes it stand out. It feels more cinematic.
Every time I show wrestling to somebody, and like all my friends work in some kind of arts, but like for instance, Pitar here, my lovely producer and friend and co-host, I'm showing wrestling stuff when we're meeting each other, and I'm going, check this out. And your first question is, why are they shooting it like this? Why does it look like this? Pitar, you're holding that mic. I want to know, like, what do you think about the wrestling that you've seen?
It generally looks like bad pornography.
Okay. And
Without
I think
the benefit of being pornography.
Right, down to the acting and everything.
Well,
Yeah.
before you
Exactly.
jumped into wrestling, like what kind of stuff were you trying to film like before then?
So I've been mainly just like music videos and documentary kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's always been my thing. So I moved to like Atlanta when I was like 19 to pursue filmmaking and production and everything. And I was involved just doing freelance
Where were you
projects.
where were
and-
you coming from? Because I think when I think Atlanta, I think lots of cool stuff to film. Like
Yeah.
lots of wild stuff to get caught up in. But what was not where were you coming from?
So I was coming from Old Fort, Tennessee. So
Ooh.
yeah, so that's super like southeast Tennessee, and it's like my parents like I didn't really grow up with that much like internet access. My parents didn't get like usable.
Well, we're like
internet.
modem age.
Yeah.
We're like dial up age. So
Right.
it's we were on Newgrounds, not YouTube, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, like it wasn't like what, babe, like 6-7 years ago. There was like that's when my parents got like
That's when they
working
upgraded.
internet. Yeah, it was just like it just wasn't readily available. So it was I was like a homeschool kid without the internet. So.
Yeah. Did it? I mean, I'm thinking culturally of like what I know of East Tennessee, and it feels like if you don't have the internet and all you know is what's around you, like how do you end up getting to Atlanta? Because that seems, if you're East Tennessee and you're not on Google all the time, it seems a little bit daunting to move down to the big city.
Right. Oh, dude, it was so overwhelming. Like I was trying to come up with whatever excuse because I knew like if I wanted to do like filmmaking for like a living, because I grew up just making videos and it's always been my thing ever since being a kid. I was like, I can't do that in Old Fort, Tennessee. You know, there's not a lot of film jobs out there.
Okay, so you knew there was a
So-
jump. There
so-
was like a necessary.
Yeah, like I had to like, I was like, well, I have to go and just like do this. And I was so scared because I was just like, you know, like this like homeschooled kid from the woods
Yeah.
that didn't know a lot of people or know about the world. Or
Were you
whatever.
with a squad like moving down into like? Did you have a crew coming in, or were you just like, I gotta go see what's up?
So there's this filmmaker named Isaac Deed. I just loved his music videos, and he made the show called The Really Real Show, and it was like this YouTube series about this band called Family Force 5. And
I know all about Family
do you
Force
really?
5. Oh, yeah, 100%.
I love
It's
that.
one of the few bands that like I could get my mom to actually come to.
Oh, yeah?
And she would get into it. And so it was like, yeah, let's get rowdy. Yeah, Family Force 5. That's like like when Warped Tour was kind of going big time.
oh yeah,
They were hitting that.
they're just super fun, like just parties.
Yeah,
and so I
the
did
shows
it.
were a party, but it was also like, hey, these guys are also Christians, so like we're not gonna do stuff in front of your kids like Attila, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, right,
Like
yeah.
they can have fun and like open up the pit and get
Right.
a little rowdy, and here's some Hulk hands, but also we're not gonna sell shirts that say vulgar things that you have to see all day at Warped Tour. There were some Attila shirts that were absolutely disgusting.
Oh,
that
yeah,
you
there
would
were-
just see all day. So Family Force 5 was at least like, you could be cool. You could be cool and not go to hell.
right? Yeah. So that was.
So he did this this show for them?
Yeah.
This-
So it was just
I remember one where Soulgirl Activator drank the clam juice. Do you remember the clam
yeah.
juice?
Yeah, that's
Oh my
from
God.
the Really Real Show, and it was just like I loved those.
This is
like,
awesome.
Yeah, didn't think Family Force 5 was going to come up. In
No,
this.
it 100% is going to
Yeah.
come up. This is the second time Family Force 5 has come up this
For
week.
real?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
so funny.
My mom was fact checking some things with me about our childhood and
Yeah.
had brought up the concert that we had gotten in a mosh pit together at.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Family Force 5. And now you're here saying it was inspired by the guy who was filming their YouTube vlog series, making their cool shows. They went to the I'm sorry this is going to now just turn into a Family Force 5
go.
lore episode.
As it should be.
They went to the flea market that had the theme song. What was the? Do you remember this?
Yeah, the Montgomery flea market.
Yeah, Montgomery flea market and something. What was it?
I don't know. What?
It's just like
It's like
A mini mall.
Yeah, that's it.
Flea market, Montgomery. It's just like a mini mall. Yeah, that's it.
That's the
Okay,
one.
I just had to get that.
Yes.
So, but are you like coming in under his wing, or are you just like, I'm gonna riff in and see what happens?
So yeah, he like me and him became friends because I would just ask advice on videos or like, hey, what'd you think about this video I made,
Yeah.
or what can I do better? And he was just always like really cool at like responding and giving me notes. And then he moved down here to Atlanta and he was looking for a roommate, and he was thinking, well, I could give this like this kid like a cheap like rent, and then I could also have him do like all my like
if Obi-Wan had a mortgage and was like,
Exactly, yeah.
Anakin, I can train you, dude.
he's like, I train you. Yeah. So and then I it was just like an easy way to like ease in, so it made it way more manageable than just jumping completely.
So
in,
that's
you
sick.
know?
So you get to start with a tag team, because I'm thinking just moving to Atlanta out of the blue, you're gonna have to like eat it. But you're going, look, I worked it in with the mentorship program.
Yeah,
and it turns out
essentially.
all of wrestling is just based on the mentorship program.
Oh, 100%.
Like it's just like, am I gonna help these people or am I not gonna help these people? And most of the time they take the decision of not helping these people. It's rough. Were you doing your own music videos? Are you having to just like find bands and be like, look, music videos can be good for you?
Yeah, that was pretty much what it was, just going on Facebook and finding bands locally, or when Craigslist, where you would, go
We
see
need a new
bands.
drummer.
Yeah, yeah, just go find whatever. And, you meet one drummer, he's the drummer for like 4 different bands, and then you meet other
Yeah.
bands and try to just do these cheap music videos to kind of get reps and doing video work. And so I was doing that for a while. And then another person that lived there, named Neely, got a job working at DDP Yoga and hit me up. It was like, hey, are you still doing film? Are you still like super into wrestling? Because I know somebody looking for a video person, and it's like DDP.
Yo, it's DDP.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. So how long were you in Atlanta before this kind of floats your way?
So I moved the end of 2011. I got the job at DDP Yoga like summer of 2013. So
Okay.
about a year and a half.
We
or
both
whatever
were
it
getting
is.
fired up 2013.
Right, hell yeah.
That was a year of giant change. Okay, I don't want to rush you into it, but we have to talk about this DDP Yoga place. It was it in the building it's in now?
No, it was just out of Dallas's house. Like when
Just his house.
Yeah, when I started, and it was when Jake the Snake and Scott Hall were living there. And like,
What?
Yeah, so it was in the middle of all that, and I literally started in just the middle of the complete chaos of it all. Like Dallas,
Of him
was-
trying to have this accountability crib.
Yeah.
Him taking these legends in
Yeah.
to help them, and actually is helping them.
Mm-hmm.
So are you in there like chronicling like the craziest wrestling house that's ever existed?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and
What?
just being like this, kid who's completely unexperienced with the world.
Yeah.
Seeing like these guys that had the action figures of just being human beings and freaking out, and seeing them in their like darkest moments. Like when I first went in, and when I first met Jake the Snake, I was like, hey man, my name's Nathan. I'm going to be working here and filming. And he just looked at me and said, fuck off, your haircut's pissing me off. That was the first thing he ever said to me. And I was just like, oh my God.
I want to say I'm a huge Jake the Snake fan, and I've become more of a Jake the Snake fan because
Yeah.
we've run into each other at conventions a few times. And I know he would be like, I can probably tell you I've met that person, but I see him on flights all the time in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And we went to the same convention recently, and I just said hey to him in first class when we were coming back because we'd been 2 away from each other the whole time. I was like, hey, how was everything at the convention, Jake? And he said, it fucking sucked. And I said, all right, I enjoy first class. And then I remembered, like, I had found out from the guy what Jake the Snake's guarantee was. And my new dream in life became to be as pissed off about making that much money in 2 days as Jake the Snake was coming back in a first class flight. Like, if you can get that, I knew what he made, and he's going, it fucking sucked to sit there and sign pictures of my face. I was like, this is such a sick 5-digit problem to have. You know what I mean? Like, if you're putting that in the bank account. But it is crazy to see them, like, I would think it would help to have people who are familiar with you kind of pushing for you. But I also understand these guys don't want to be seen as downtrodden or in the position. I'm sure they're trying to kind of sneak away to these things or be with Dallas and not have it all on like display, right?
Oh,
Like, is there
yeah.
pushback on
No,
that?
absolutely. Because I know like Jake was just super like obviously I mean like the camera like we're filming them and they're very vulnerable
Right.
and like at the worst, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So and it was like an agreement with Dallas where Dallas was like, well, we're not even going to put this out unless you're 100% okay with everything we have in it. Like we're going to like once the movie was done, we sent it to Jake and I remember Dallas being like, all right, Jake's watching it tonight. We'll see what he says. If he says no, then it's dead. You know, we're not going to put this out and
Yeah.
do this to him kind of thing. And like and Jake watched it and like he loved it and yeah, and the resurrection of Jake the Snake. And that was a crazy experience for me because that was like my first like almost real life adult experience out in the world. Like I didn't go to high school. I didn't experience all these kind of like, you know, normal kind of things, but then my first real world experiences with people that had action figures of and overcoming like their demons and struggling and being a part of that.
And just immediately going, oh, you're just a man. Like,
Yeah.
I know that sounds really harsh to put it that way, but it's like jumping in and seeing these people that like you've only seen through the lens of a television or in a toy aisle nationally, globally, to see them just like be someone who poops in the toilet. It sort of like demystifies a lot of what it takes to get into entertainment stuff and a lot of like, oh, if you're showing up and doing good stuff, it doesn't matter if it's for Oprah or if it's for just like a random person off the street. Like the professionalism is going to show. And if you can tell somebody's story correctly and you can put them in the right light where, like you said, like they want to make sure. Part of me thinks that that's such a motivator if I'm a wrestler to be like, we're only putting out this documentary if you get a clean, good ending, to be like, all right, well, I'm going to defeat these demons because I could really use an act 2, you know, like there's a magic to you coming in and going, I have a skill that I'm honing, but that I can offer to you. And even though you're someone like I've idolized or looked up to or seen from the wrestling world, and it's like larger than life, we're now symbiotic, even though you're still above me in like where you're at. I don't know. I'm not trying to like make any point here. It's just like it is crazy to jump into a project where you're like, I just shoot music videos, I shoot bands, I do this, and also this skill is transferable to the top superstars in this particular industry.
Yeah.
Did Dallas kept you around after that?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where they're like, yeah, we'll have you around for like a month to see if it like, you know, works and see if it all works out. And they ended up, liking me and they hired me. And then it was, yeah, we would just be sitting, editing, you know, DDP Yoga videos and promos and whatever else. And then if something started to happen, we'd already just have a camera ready, like just at the beginning of the day, just in case we needed to, you know, turn it on. And if you watch that movie, there's a lot of moments where like, somebody like runs outside and we have to follow and the white balance is all off because we're like shooting this as legitimate as possible.
Yeah, like it's happening
like,
right now.
And so there's just so many super incredibly raw moments that kind of happen in the resurrection and everything. But it is like a super hopeful movie, and the best part is like not just watching them like struggle, but also having like that victory of seeing Jake get sober and going into the Hall of Fame and how amazing that was. I remember we were having like Dallas was on Monday Night Raw, and we were over at his house watching Dallas going to be on Raw. It's going to be exciting, and that was when Jake returned to Monday Night Raw.
Wow!
And that was like the secret; nobody knew.
Yeah.
And Jake walked out, and I just remember being in Dallas's house and like starting to cry at like how beautiful that was, seeing like
That's so sad.
this guy going from like first sentence he ever said to me, like "fuck you,"
Yeah,
like I
get
pissed
it.
you off, and he's just an angry person to watching him play with his like grandkids and stuff and be at the Hall of Fame. So that's like a very moving thing for anybody to experience, and it was a crazy thing for me. So
Well, I think too with looking at DDP and you being at his house watching this makes the perfect point of when you see these older guys and you go to conventions and you see these guys that have been around, they were not always on the same team with each other. They were still sort of competitive with money and doing this. And there's been a sort of generational switch where like everybody seems to be a little more helpful with each other. And I think DDP was a huge part of that of, hey man, like when people need help and you have resource and we both come from the same stupid business. And I think Dallas knew, especially starting later, and I'm putting words in his mouth of like, none of this is guaranteed and none of this makes sense. And sometimes things work and don't. These guys were working just as hard as me. These guys were, you know, given different difficulties than me, and sort of seeing it work across the board where like these older guys are looking out for each other a little more. And I think that spirit in wrestling is much healthier than whatever the like, give me mine and I'm going to have it. When you look at Dallas, who's like stayed good, stayed healthy, built this DDP Yoga empire, the first thing he's doing is bringing in people going, I'm going to make you more money later if you'll just get your shit together. And I'm somebody who can make you do it. I think it just like is inspired a lot more of that going on.
Man, absolutely. And like now I've been working at DDP Yoga for almost 13, 14 years, whatever it's been at this point. And Dallas is somebody who really like walks his talk. Like he is,
Yeah.
It's not like a gimmick. Like he genuinely is that caring and loving and supportive of his friends. And like if he sees somebody that's like,
Yeah, but he's also, from every time I've ever seen him, no bullshit.
oh yeah,
And that's why he wins with these guys, because everybody else wants to coddle him and hold their hand, and he's happy to be there. But I see him holding that line, and it's like in the best way possible,
oh absolutely,
like
yeah,
a dad. Like
yeah,
a good
it's that-
dad who's like, you're not doing that. And it's like, but I want to do it. And he's going, you're not. Because if you don't do it, you can get back on Monday Night Raw and you can work conventions every weekend for crazy amounts of money. And you need to do better than that. It's great. I love Dallas.
Yeah.
You're still over there?
Yeah, absolutely.
incredible.
I drove straight from there to come down here.
One of
So-
my favorite things I reference, and we'll get off DDP in a second, but there's a lot of those yogas on the DDP Yoga app that you can get that are just like additional bonus content. There's one of Dallas on the moon.
Yes.
Like it has him on a moon landing, and he brings his water bottle up after like running a 6 session, and I'm sweating, and he goes, had to bring my own water. This moon water's not good for you. And I was like, not only is he helping me get my body functioning, he's hilarious still.
Right.
There's some really good stuff on that DDP Yoga app
Oh, there
as far
is.
as just like him having fun.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's having a good time. He loved the idea. We have like a big green screen at DDP Yoga, so he's like, we could do DDP Yoga on the moon. Like he was so stoked about it.
Yeah, he also has that sick kitchen set in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got to go there one time to do some yoga, and it was really incredible. And it also like got me so fired up. But then I did too much yoga. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, DDP Yoga.
DDP Yoga.
Yes.
It's people think I'm joking,
Yeah.
but it's also like, once again, when Dallas is on the screen and he's going, you better hold those push-ups, or you better
Yeah.
keep that, or you better squeeze those arms. I don't think like yoga dude on YouTube who's just like running me through a flow could get me to get that fired up. It's crazy the amount I sweat doing DDP Yoga. No one's ever paid me to say this. I just like, I recommend it to people all the time.
Oh yeah. It's genuinely great. I don't want to sit here and just be like just
No,
bitching or whatever.
but I
it
think
is
I do
genuinely
yoga
awesome. Yeah.
all day now. Like I've just built it into my constant stretch flow
Yeah.
of running through stuff. I don't, thank God for DDP.
Oh yeah.
Okay, but
He's the
here's
man.
the problem. The problem is you're doing this, you're getting in the wrestling world, you're filming stuff at Southern Honor, and then you want to get hardcore. I say this as a literal deathmatch legend. Yes or no, we should make deathmatch illegal.
Make it legal?
Make it illegal.
No, absolutely not.
I just think, you don't think we've gone too far? You don't think that we've satiated the bloodlust of the nations?
I also vote we make it illegal.
Okay.
Or-
Overruled.
Or
We can make it illegal, which makes it more fun to
we
participate in.
they'll
Yeah.
want to do it
Okay, well
even
then we all kind
more.
of win then, but like
Then I think it just becomes cooler if it's illegal. So there is that aspect too.
I'm obviously joking about making it illegal, but I, as someone who's been a part of quite a few death matches, I see people doing it, and I just assume that I got lucky all the times I got through it, and I only had like a few cuts or a few things broken over. And you know, I've gotten hurt in regular matches plenty of times, but I'm more worried about like just the randomness of somehow how it goes. But is that not? I guess that's what makes it a rush.
Yeah, that's one of the main things. I like, you know, after you do a crazy spot and you're sitting there and you're like moving your fingers and toes and be like, oh, I just survived something gnarly. And
The ref
the
check and
rush,
you get
yeah.
the squeeze back.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though. How do you go from I see you at Southern Honor, you fall through a table while holding a camera, while still filming, and now, you know, spoiler alert, you're running deathmatch shows and you're a deathmatch Southern legend who's wrestled all over. Like we've got to we don't have to rush to get there, but like there's got to be something that happened in that door spot that I witnessed that night that sort of sent you on a path. Yeah.
It truly did. So how I kind of went from being, just working at like Southern Honor, just being the camera guy or whatever. One day Dylan was like, "Hey, we got all these tables. We want to do a spot where the camera guy accidentally gets speared through the table. Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Absolutely, yeah, man. That sounds so
I've
sick."
been waiting for this my whole life.
And yeah, as a wrestling fan, you're like, I've always wanted to be put through a table. This is so dope.
Yeah.
And I go through it, and I'm just so excited, and I see all the photos and videos and stuff of it, and I'm like, this is rad. And like, then he would just occasionally work me getting into little bumps and like
because you're kind
whatever.
of like a noticeable person, and that's the thing with wrestling too. Is like even though you're holding a camera and doing this, when you're walking around, you're like a relatively tall, in shape, good looking guy who's kind of got a crazy vibe going on, which has gotten crazier, and I love it. But it's like it passes the airport test for me, where I'm like, that guy does something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's got to almost be like the fans are almost pushing for it a little bit too, because they see stuff happening.
Definitely. And I think that was something that was exciting because like I did like a Rumble Jack in 2020 as the camera guy. Like
Okay.
And the Rumble Jack, it's like a Royal Rumble style match where the last two people becomes a regular match, the Rumble lumberjack match on the outside. But
So you got to, if you get eliminated, you got to stay out there and lumberjack.
Yeah. So basically, the buzzer goes 3, 2, 1, and it's like, oh, it's Nathan, the camera guy, and I'm like, oh shit, and I hand my camera off to another camera guy, get up on the top turnbuckle, take a choke slam to the outside, and that I was in there for 3 seconds, and I was just looking for ways of going through tables, and then then AEW comes around and we start. DDP Yoga, this production team starts doing a lot of videos for AEW and stuff, and in early AEW. Luther comes to AEW.
Yeah, Dr. Luther.
Dr. Luther.
The best.
And
just an incredible dude.
And I hit it off with him like immediately. And then when he debuted at AEW, they were like, oh, this is a deathmatch legend. And I went online, I couldn't find like a lot of footage of him doing deathmatch stuff. So I asked him about it, and he said he was moving to Atlanta and was going to work at like the Nightmare Factory. And so I was like, oh, maybe we can like work something out. And so essentially, he ended up becoming my trainer, and then I also like digitized all his old like deathmatch Japanese tapes or whatever. And I was just like going through it, and I'm like, dude, this is awesome. We got to do something with this footage.
This is incredible stuff that people haven't seen before.
Yeah, I was like, this is insane.
But I gotta say, like, there is something really magical about like, oh, here's this deathmatch legend, and people are going, oh, I haven't seen the footage, and it's all there, and he knows it, and he lived it, and then he has this run recently with Tony Storm as the Butler, and it's the best shit of all time, but it's also like you had to like grind and sweat and bleed through all of these matches to end up in this weird happenstance where you are now, but those skills are transferable, and it's lovely to see someone who has bled for this shit get some roles where they don't have to die every night. Like, isn't that beautiful to reward the hard workers with that? Do you think watching his old footage made you even more pumped to get in there?
Oh, absolutely. Because I was just digitizing this stuff, and it's just like him and Onita just wrapped in barbed wire or whatever. It's just this like, and it's a lot of fan cam. It's a lot of like VHS tapes that were just handed to him after the show. You know what I mean?
The Japanese fans are really good about filming this stuff, especially back in the day. There's some crazy fan cams from like those Funk Brothers matches, the fan cams from those audiences, and especially the Onita time. They were doing stuff with barbed wire that was just like disrespectful to the human body.
Oh, for sure.
Were you seeing some of that stuff on the camera where you're
and
going, this is despicable?
Oh yeah, despicable in the best way.
Yeah.
And like that's not to jump around, but like that's why I'll dig people like Yashiro or Alejandro who bring camcorders to deathmatch shows and capture it like that, because there's something about watching death matches through that type of medium that feels so intense, like you're not supposed to watch it.
Yeah, like it's a found footage movie.
Yeah, it's some kind of weird dark web thing.
Yeah, I like there's so much to be said about like the way it sort of it almost desensitizes it in a way and makes it more intense when you see it in person.
Yeah.
Like watching old deathmatch and then going to a deathmatch, it makes it that much crazier. Like I don't need to see anything really in deep HD, and I also don't think humans are better at picking up what's going on just because it's more high def. Like you can watch these old matches and you know exactly what's happening and you don't need it to be 100% visible. But God, when you get in front of it in person and then you see it, it's even crazier when you've been watching it. I mean, you've had Yoshiro out there doing a lot of the like weapons, but also the VHS clips going out. And he was with Mr. Danger on a lot of those GCW shows.
Yeah.
And having his footage drop, like GCW's footage did fine, but he was getting numbers on those views because people like couldn't believe it was real.
Yeah.
I think if more people knew about deathmatch during COVID, the government would have stepped in.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Like,
I'm
it
glad
just-
it wasn't
there
too
is
loud.
It's a crazy thing that this is kind of going on, but then it's like also the least crazy thing because I think about like the gladiators back in the day. We've been like, we want to go to the arena and we want to see some crazy shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a human trait. And now, thank God, we've learned how to be a little bit safer about it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's been a lot of people who have figured out the hard way for us, who have preceded us. So that's thankful for them finding where those lines are. But that's kind of the fun thing,
Yeah.
just trying to see where that boundary or that line is with something just super violent or ridiculous, or you know what I mean. So
Well, you said you're helping Luther out. You're training with Luther. Is he recognizing in you, like, yes, you want to learn wrestling stuff, but also like, let me show you this crazy spot I did, or these crazy deathmatch things, or this like little deathmatch trick? Like, is he looking at you as like, this one I can sponge up a little more with the real Dr. Luther sauce?
yeah, I think it was a little bit of that, and because obviously he didn't want me to be somebody that's just, oh yeah, he's just some hack and slash talentless whatever
Yeah.
kind of thing. And obviously to be a good deathmatch wrestler, you have to be a good wrestler too. And so that's something I take seriously, and I still go to training every week to sharpen that and everything. So but
Very
yeah,
incredible.
but he
That's-
was like, here's how you get like the most out of like a crazy table spot, or if you want to do this barbed wire thing, do this. And so, yeah, I was going up there to the Nightmare Factory for a little bit, and I was honestly a little inconsistent, and then he ended up moving to Florida, and then I was just like kind of fell out of training, and then I got like kind of like about it.
Yeah.
And then my now wife, she bought me a cameo from Nick Gage, like firing me up to keep
Oh my
training.
gosh.
And then I was just like, I got to go back to training. And so
The
then
King got you inspired to go back to
a
training.
cameo from the King.
Can I tell everybody a real secret?
Indeed. Tell me the secret.
For the first 2 years Nick Gage was on Cameo, I was getting 5% of those cameos because I got Nick Gage signed up for Cameo.
Hell yeah.
There's someone else I signed up to, but if I told people out loud, they'd probably try to rob me. But it's been very nice and very evil for those first few.
Oh man. Yeah.
Let's jump to you actually doing shows though. How do you get booked?
So I think
You gotta. I saw you booked at Southern Honor, right? Like that happened.
yeah.
Do you have to go back and be like, I'm not gonna shoot you on camera?
Yeah. Yeah. That was a weird transition because it was like forever I was just the first few years of Southern Honor, I was the guy filming, and now all of a sudden I'm the guy wrestling. But I think the story that we kind of told to kind of like transition that is like I made a deal with Rev Dan Wilson and Tank, and that I would like do kind of like their bidding and distract Gunnar Miller while Tank can get the advantage. And then it led me to have a death match with Tank, and then I just had a bunch of matches with Tank as I was training, and then they took me under their wing, and I became a stooge for Tank and Rev Dan.
Tank is a legend, and I think like the deathmatch world kind of knows better now, but I think it went like under the radar for a while. But dude, Tank is still like out there doing it. It's insane to watch. I've never gotten to have a singles match with Tank. I don't think. Did I wrestle him one time at Southern Honor?
I don't think so.
I don't think
I feel
so
like I would
either.
remember that.
I was
Yeah.
in the ring for a spot with him at some point. There's
Yeah.
something that happened,
It
but
might
I
have been
don't.
like the Rumble Jack or something.
Yeah, it must have been just doing a spot with him. But watching him work with these young kids now, and kind of like them feeling the pace of a Tank match and why it works so well and why that happens. Is it strange to just join a group that already has kind of their own identity, or was it fun to sort of join their merriment and be a little bit dark-sided?
I think it was like me and Tank had a match at this biker rally, and then I kind of came out just wearing all black and like, you know, biker vest with studs on it or whatever, and having long hair and long beard, and they were like, man, he kind of looks like he's from like the Devil's Rejects or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like so I already kind of fit their vibe, and so they started the stable Coven of the Goat, and I was one of the first people that were a part of that. But I also thought it was interesting because everybody that knew me was just like the super happy camera guy.
sweet
so having
boy.
like this, I don't know.
I think it puts a direct line on like, oh, this isn't the same dude anymore. That was just Nathan the camera guy over here. Coven of the Goat is the hardest name. Who else in Coven of the Goat? You got Rev Dan, you got you,
We have
you
Tank.
got Tank.
We have Jaden Newman.
Oh my gosh, the best.
Oh yeah,
The
he's man.
best. I met him when he was like 16 in South Georgia. We used to work these shows together, and I'd be like, kid, you got to get out of here. He's good now. He's doing great.
Yeah,
The Southern scene's all right now, I think.
it is. I think the Southern scene is super healthy. I love like the
Yeah.
Southern independence. It's
Yeah.
so sick.
I didn't recognize when I started out how much like, I don't know, there's always been a little bit of a negative disparaging thought form of like Southern wrestling, you know, old style wrestling, you know, it's a Memphis style wrestling where it's just like a little hokier and a little more worky based and a little more character based. But like the longer I've gone on in wrestling, the more I've recognized that like all of those moments where I've gotten lost in a match or stuck somewhere or don't know what to do or somebody gets knocked out in the match, having that kind of Southern relatability where like it's made me way more adaptable to whatever room I'm in. And at first I was like, oh, I'm going to have to outgrow Southern wrestling to like get over in the business. And now I'm like, I think the key to everything is Southern wrestling. Those Japanese guys want to do Memphis style.
Right? Yeah.
It's incredible. When they figured out I would take, you'll take a splash from the top with light tubes? I was like, yeah. They were like, great. We're going to have an easy match, and then you're going to take my sick bump, and then you're going to get pinned. And I was like, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
yeah.
That's incredible. You're not just like wrestling, though. I mean, you're wrestling, but you're bringing the scene to life now. Is this a Walt Disney-ass way to say it? Like, you're bringing the scene to life by actually booking shows?
Yeah, man. It's like that's something that I've always wanted to do. Even like being kind of loosely. I mean, Southern Honor Wrestling was Dylan Freymeyer's thing for the most part, but then I was just like, man, I love just crazy wrestling. I love hardcore wrestling, obviously, and I love just doing cool cinematic vignettes. Those are my favorite things of wrestling.
Yeah, I don't
And,
think
like,
wrestling's your number one influence either. And so
Yeah.
seeing the way you've kind of put your vision on not just the matches or the character or stuff, but like the way you guys are filming and setting up doing these shows. You're now running the Blood and Honey series here in Atlanta, and it is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I've been in like a lot of deathmatch wrestling shows. I've seen a lot of things. There's like a hunger in this that is insane.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've been doing we just finished our 7th show, and hopefully we'll have our 8th show this Saturday. Hopefully it doesn't rain, but
We got it. We got this.
yeah, it's not gonna rain.
No rain.
No rain at all. But we I just found a bunch of so actually how it started was Broadway, who is an actress friend of ours.
That's
works
a
at-
convenient name.
Yeah, Broadway. And they work at Monk's Mead, and Broadway saw me doing my deathmatch thing. It was like, hey, we love doing a bunch of just crazy events of all this different kind of stuff in Atlanta. Would you want to run just a small deathmatch show at the Mead? And I was like, oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. And so we worked out a deal, and I got a few of my friends from TWE to come down, and we did like a 3-4 match like card, and like it was super fun. And then we ended up doing like 2 more, and then it just became like a fun and profitable thing. And I was like, you know what, this is like a different level of expression, because now I'm mixing my 2 loves of film and wrestling together. So
Yeah.
it's like the most creatively fulfilled I've ever been.
But you're also giving spots to people to try this thing out or do this thing that, like, I think the number one issue right now in wrestling is there's not enough places for wrestling to happen. Like, I always joke, like, we can't all share the pie. Somebody's got to bake some pies. And so when I see you baking these pies, not only are you putting on shows with talent that, you know, like deserve the spot and are doing cool stuff, you're also putting these people in positions where like watching Keelan Cole get into deathmatch has been insane to me because he's perfect at it and he's new to it. and he's very good at all these types of wrestling. And then you kind of give him this moment where I'm like, oh, damn, he might be onto something even more than he probably would have. But he's not going to get a spot like that unless somebody like you's running a show. This isn't really a question. It's just like it fires me up to know.
Thank you. There's like, especially people like Keelan Cole. That's somebody that I've like believed in for like a long time. And I had like matches with him at DWA and whatnot. And I was like, man, Keelan Cole is so sick. And I was like, but I don't know if he's going to want to do deathmatch stuff.
Right.
And he reached out to me wanting to do it. And I was like, oh, are you sure? Like, yeah, come try it out. And I put him in a 4-way match with Little Sicko, Spectre, and Neji Ishiban.
Yeah.
And they ended up using glass. And I was like, oh, Keelan, I didn't know you were going to be using glass. And then he's just been all about it. And he's like one of the most over guys at Blood and Honey. And people love him.
They were lined up screaming for him. And I was there. I was injured at the time, which like I'm still a little injured all this time later because of the American healthcare system, which is fine. But I'm over there doing commentary on the show because I was like, I can't wrestle. I'll come and do whatever you want. Like, please just let me still show up. And there was stuff flying everywhere. It was insane to me that like in the back of this meadery, there are hundreds of people showing up out in the walls, like out at night. And this is like chaos mode out here behind this building. And then to see guys like a Keelan Cole get in that ring, and I've seen him do regular matches, and it's been sick and very high risk. But like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to do a tube spot at the end. There was like every type of this contraption I'm going to bring up in general. You know what I'm about to ask about is this freaking Venus flytrap door that hangs off the side of the ring and then smushes together to crush things inside of it.
Yes.
Who thought that up?
That was Yashiro. He's like, he has a sick imagination, and I absolutely love it. Love him for it. He'll like text me some random sketch that he's doing. It'll be like, all right, next Blood and Honey, or he'll just post it. Like he posted today this weird like light tube umbrella thing, and I was just like, is that for my match? I hope this is not for my match. You know, it's just all these insane things.
I've had those nights where I'll show up and see like 4 panes of glass, and I'll just start asking people whose they are so they claim them before it can get to me. Like, so there's never even a discussion. But there is like there's a thrill to it as a performer when you find out like it's not fake, right? You are bleeding from your body. That's not the fake part. The fake part is convincing other people you're normal because once you find out it's survivable, it's like kind of addicting. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like telling somebody that like, oh yeah, no, getting cut up, you know, a couple times a month is what gives me thrill in this life. And I think they'd think we were nuts if they really found out. But this has gone on for a while. Like, who else in deathmatch are you watching that's kind of getting you into this? Because I'm sure it's not, oh, I'm digitizing Luther's tapes and that's the first time I'm seeing it. Like, are you into this stuff deep?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up just like...
You said homeschool, and I'm going, I don't think you were finding deathmatch there.
Not really. So my aunt who lived next door had a little bit of internet access. And so I grew up also a big fan of like Jackass and CKY, those kind of things. So I was always just super hyper, jumping off things, always loved stunts and just doing dangerous things out in the woods. And then when YouTube first came out, I remember like being like, oh, I want to go see old ECW clips, and then finding CZW and FMW through that, and seeing Sick Nick Mondo and Zandig and everything, and just my mind being blown. Like,
have you met Sick Nick Mondo?
Yeah, he actually worked at DDP Yoga for a little bit.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
that's
which
what
was
I thought.
Insane. And that was crazy because that was my first like deathmatch wrestler I saw that used glass and stuff. And so me, that was like, he was the coolest like dude ever. And one day, he ended up working at DDP Yoga doing stuff for AEW.
Because he works in film, too.
Yeah, he's also a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And does a lot of really cool stuff. And one day, Dallas comes in. They're like, hey, this is y'all's new coworker, Matt. Everyone's like, oh, hey. And I turn around. I'm like, holy shit, is that Sick Nick Mondo?
And he's like, hold on. I
was like, is this some kind of weird prank? Like, this is so weird. And so, yeah, we got to do kind of the early days of AEW together, shooting interviews and backstage promos, and
That's
that was
so awesome.
which was so cool because I
Yeah.
was such a big fan of his.
I know Joey Janela tried to bribe him out of retirement like a
Oh,
lot of
yeah,
times,
yeah.
and he said no to it. But I know he was surprised when they did his like Deathmatch Hall of Fame thing,
Mm-hmm.
and he came up and it was like pre-orders on the signing, like we're gonna do a signing with Sick Nick, and he was like, all of these people pre-ordered this stuff, and we were like, literally, you're the guy, dude. Like, you're the dude everybody was watching that's on this new deathmatch scene.
Yeah.
Even going back and watching like a CZW throwaway show tag match, he would be doing some of the craziest stuff you've ever seen. Just like, oh yeah, whatever. This is a casual match 5 tag match. Let's get nuts
Oh,
in
yeah.
the middle of the card. And that energy is like, it's infectious.
Oh, absolutely. He like his work was so good. Like you could just put up any rant. Like you go on YouTube, type in Sick Nick Mondo, and watch any crazy like match of his. I always loved it because it's like it felt like you're kind of watching Hayabusa with the crazy high flying stuff at the time, but you're
Yes.
watching like just light tubes and panes of glass, and this was the first time I was ever seeing this, and him getting hit with a weed whacker, like it just my 16-year-old mind couldn't process how badass all of this was.
Yeah, and I think you highlighted with like the athleticism of what he was doing on
Yeah.
top of then making it deathmatch.
Yeah.
It's like even crazy. It's like seeing Jeff Hardy go through glass. Like is the vibe it was giving, and then he's coming out to Papa Roach, and it's fucking
Right.
it's-
What Jeff Hardy had for just like, more like traditional TV wrestling or extreme wrestling, like that aura is the same thing Nick Mondo has in the underground, like death match type of independent
Yeah.
wrestling. I think yeah.
You brought up Jackass too, though, and I hear this a lot, and I think it makes so much sense because like there is this professional wrestlingness to Jackass where like we know everything's still hurting them. They're selling it. Like whatever happens, if he gets hit with the bowling ball in the nuts, if he gets tased, they're selling it. Or if Steve-O gets covered in poop, he's gonna throw up. Except for like their version of the selling is like we just know what's gonna happen. Like we know
Yeah.
this is gonna suck. Is Butterbean okay?
Yeah.
That's like incredible stuff like that where like once you find out you can survive these things and people go nuts for it, you kind of want to implement it into the match. And then I don't know if you know this, bumping does not feel great in the ring. It doesn't.
No.
And deathmatch stuff hurts, but like I did a spot one time and it was infinitely more painful than any bump I'll take. But as my neck still hurts all the time, I'm like, you know what? The pain of having salt and vinegar chips put into tube wounds in my back, I would almost rather have that repeated than my neck's just going to keep hurting forever. You know what I mean? Or the amount of guys that get injured doing basic stuff. And then you have deathmatch guys going through their career and they're constantly like, you can never give a deathmatch guy a hug without asking first is the vibe. But it's usually not their like necks that are broken,
Yeah.
Usually they just lose a lot of blood.
Yeah.
What's the worst you've been messed up in the ring?
So there was one time up in I'm looking at my wife because she knows what I'm going to say.
She's covering her eyes.
She's covering her
right now.
eyes.
This is incredible.
This horrified her. So this was at the Brad Cash Suicide King tournament in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So anyway, I was in an opening match, and after the match was done, my opponent just grabbed an extra light tube, and I wasn't prepared for it, and she just cut my arm. You can see, and it just went super deep into.
Yeah, that looked like it was flayed open like a
Yeah.
fresh cut steak.
Right, yeah, it was just super deep, and I started to bleed like.
And this was post match.
Yeah, the match was over, and
Come
like
on.
music was playing. I wasn't expecting it, and cut me really deep, and then we had to be rushed to the hospital, and like one of the wrestlers' wives were taking me. Michaela's very shook up about it. I was like, Michaela, keep filming. This will be great video to
And
have.
she's like, "You're gonna die if
I'm
that
like-
hits an artery."
I'm literally like if it looked like a water bottle being poured out, just
my
going so
God.
fast out of my arm, and so I'm just holding my arm up, and like I'm losing feeling in the bottom half of my legs and everything. So, yeah,
was it at least peaceful? I feel like when
It
you
was.
lose that much blood, you
Yeah.
can't really freak out that bad. You're just sort of like, "This is rough."
Yeah, I was super relaxed.
Thought
My
the
wife
match was
not.
over. Yeah, you had all your blood. That's
Yeah,
that's
why are you
not
freaking
fair.
out? Yeah. I got to the hospital. Everyone thought I was like a stab victim or something. People in the ER
Yeah.
freaked out. This bloody Charles Manson looking guy walking in, very calmly covered in blood, and they just got so many stitches. And then I immediately went and wrestled the next weekend and reopened.
Reopened it?
it. Yeah, because I'm a fool.
Listen, that's the problem too. Is I got to make sure I can get to the next booking. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
yeah.
I don't want to get hurt and pull myself out. Although I've wrestled many times with like staples in my head. So
Yeah.
like, and that wasn't even in deathmatch stuff. This stuff's just dangerous. I think overall it's just dangerous. Do you have a least favorite weapon? I immediately have a least favorite weapon that I will not take part in. Do you want to guess what it is? Yeah. And it's like there's one particular CZW show I can think of where I'm just going to tell you, it says carpet strips. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Because if the carpet strips go in and go out, it's fine. To me, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what happens. What happens is they go in and then somebody pulls them and then they slice it open
Yeah.
deep. I mean, like, I probably also am not going to do knife boards at this point in my career.
Yeah.
I'm kind of against it.
I haven't done a knife board, but I'm definitely open to it. But
I'm into a Japanese knife board where the knives are like not as sharp as you think. I like a thick foam and a little. I wasn't on the tour, thank God, but when Takeda's back, do you remember when he fell on the knife board?
yeah.
And it just
Yeah.
like you could see the slices. It was like, it's horrible. Like an
Yeah.
accordion being opened human style. Okay, so but you're up for it. You're up for the
I'm
knife
up
boards?
for that. I don't know. I haven't really found many things that I'm just super against.
I think it would have been fine if he wasn't falling off a 12-foot ladder.
You know, I'll say, does heights count as? I don't know. It's technically not a weapon, but it's like.
I think heights definitely count because if you second guess yourself falling off something high, you can really eat some crap. And everybody in wrestling always puts the tables like slightly too close. And so the amount of times I've seen guys just overshoot full stacks of stuff for them to land in and just hit the floor or whack part of it. I can understand heights being like, I'm good.
Yeah, I just feel like that's probably just not going to be my thing. I'm not really good at aiming.
What
from,
about
height.
fire?
Fire. That is my favorite weapon. In fact, I try not to
Yeah.
use it in every match so it stays special. But yeah, fire is my absolute favorite. And so I've been setting myself on fire since I've been like 15. I found like a, I guess, somewhat safe way. I guess there's no super safe way of being on fire.
Well, you could
Truly.
just cover yourself in like a anti-flame, gel
true.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not. Everybody would know you were covered in an
Yeah,
anti-flame
definitely.
gel.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been doing that just from filming my little dumb videos with my friends as a teenager, just set myself on fire. And then when I became a wrestler beforehand, people just knew me as the guy who set people on fire. Like that was like my party trick.
You came in with a gimmick already.
Already before like I was even a wrestler. Like I would be out like in Atlanta and somebody would be like, "Hey, do you remember me? You set me on fire at this house party." And I'm like, "You got to be more specific because I've
Oh my
lit
God.
a lot of people, at least 100 people on fire before I even became a wrestler." So that immediately had to become part of my shtick. You know?
Well, at least you had experience
Naturally.
doing it. You know what I mean? Like, you're
Yeah.
not coming in and being like, I got a new gimmick I want to try. You're like, guys, I'm the fireman. I've been doing this forever. This
Yeah.
is actually the best move I can do right now.
Right.
That's not going to mess any of us up. Are you lighting the knee on fire?
Yeah, I do the knee pads. I'll do elbow pads. I'll
Yeah.
do just lighting my full legs on fire, doing just like big knees or drop kicks or whatever. And then I'm just trying to find new variants.
I'm going to
fire
say
play
the
with.
dumbest thing, which is people don't realize fire is hot. It's very hot. And I say this because, Too Tough Tony?
Yeah.
He's been lighting his arm on fire for like years. And that hand is like more powerful than the other hand.
Oh, I
like
bet,
it's
yeah.
like there's like a layer of like dinosaur power to that.
Right.
Positive compliment, I swear. Please don't. But I've taken that thing to the head a few times, and you just like he's a sweet man who knows what he's doing. That's what I'll say. But that fire coming in every time and the flash of the flame, just like it gets me crazy. It
It's
makes
so-
me
yeah.
feel nuts.
His way of doing it's so gnarly because he just pours it directly on skin. For me,
Yeah.
I'm just lighting my clothing or pads on fire. He's just straight up lighting his fist and hitting people, and it's so sick.
Have you gone through like a flaming table or something?
Oh yeah. I've done flaming tables and doors and all sorts of stuff, all sorts of things.
It's very unpredictable for me, and I don't want to say I've become like a lazy old sow who doesn't produce milk anymore. But like you'd really have to convince me of the reason for me to go through fire now, because I've been in the ring too many times where someone else has gotten caught on fire, or like when I got this injury and John Wayne Murdoch filled in for me, and he got caught on fire and had to go to the hospital. I was like, oh, woe is me. I'm so hurt. And then I saw I got caught on fire. I was like, this is crazy. But also, the fire is the coolest thing ever for an audience. And
Right.
sometimes you just got to go for it.
Yeah, I love it, man. I'm such like a big fan of like using fire, and I'm so comfortable with being on fire, and I know
Yeah.
how long I can be on fire. So sometimes I'm just laying there, not patting myself out, just because I know I'm going to be good. But I could feel the audience getting so uncomfortable,
concerned.
Everyone's throwing water bottles at me. I can just feel the buttholes pucker in the crowd as I'm just sitting there on fire, not doing anything. Brings me joy.
Finding the buildings that let you do fire, though, that can be a little bit dicey.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? See, I'm real hopeful for where wrestling's going, because I feel like we're on a path of like creators like yourself can put their own spin on things, and then if it's good, like the internet has allowed it to be like visible by whoever wants to come see it, which is why I'm like, you have this idea of wrestling that's like kind of crazy on tape, but also no one's stopping you from showing it to everybody, and no one's stopping everybody from coming to find it. Do you think deathmatch wrestling is going to pick up more? Or do you think with it getting out to everybody, we're going to run into some legislators?
That's one of my biggest fears, just because I know that, deathmatch wrestling, it's becoming more and more popular. More eyes are getting on it. So there could be people, the wrong eyes could see it and try to like shut it down or try to do some pushback, I feel like every day I go online and like Vice has released a new piece on like deathmatch wrestling, and I'm just like, man, people are interested, even if they're not like fans. They're fascinated by it. So I do worry about it becoming such a known thing that there becomes laws or whatever. But I kind of like, I enjoy it, and I think people will always kind of push back against that. So hopefully things will be good for the future of deathmatch. And I think. I'm really excited for the future and there's a bunch of new companies and wrestlers and people with new ideas and that are super creative just now getting started. And I'm really excited to see like where things go in the next couple of years,
I am too, and I hope everybody keeps training hard, because I think you have to mention that of like, even when you know the tricks, they don't always work perfectly. But if you can prepare and be trained and be, cognizant, and I mean trained of like, when you're on fire, you should have some water nearby.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of should know where your water is, and trained like, hey, you shouldn't go through the tubes this way. By the way, do you think they're going to ban these tubes for real?
That I don't know. I know they've like stopped producing them, but
I heard that, but I also like I don't know.
I don't know how real that would be. And there's always going to be some warehouse out in the woods that have thousands of them,
Yeah, and
so.
also the equipment to make them is there. So like, what I'm saying is, do we need to buy our own means of production and make our own deathmatch tubes?
That's a great business
Because I
idea.
think why they're getting rid of them isn't like, oh, we found out they're doing deathmatch. I think it's just like, we have LED lights now, we have strip lighting now, it's so
Right.
cheap. But I bet if we just made it for deathmatch,
Right? Yeah.
this could be a crazy thing.
That's a
to,
great
like,
idea.
Make it,
We could start a whole like light tube company just to sell for the niche of deathmatch, which I think no one's doing that. I think that would be brilliant.
Somebody's got to supply them. Somebody's got to keep
There we go.
the factory running. Okay, now last year in Vegas, we saw each other because you and your wife were attending the RuPaul's Drag Race Live experience.
Yes.
As were me and my friends, including the one called Manders, who
Indeed,
was
yes.
made an example of
I saw, yeah.
during the show. Now, obviously with film stuff, I think you probably have a lot of like movie influences and stuff that you visually could point to. But I want to talk about drag.
Oh yeah.
Are you inspired by drag in wrestling? Because I'm so inspired by drag in wrestling.
I think so. I think like with my wife being the one that introduced me to Drag Race, her watching like RuPaul or Trixie and Katya YouTube videos a lot,
Yeah.
and just like I realize, and you hear it like a lot, how like wrestling and like drag are very similar, and I love types of performances or whatever that's just larger than life and so just grandiose and huge.
Yeah,
and
and pushing some boundaries a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And just, pushing buttons and whatnot. So I love that about drag. And so I would slowly just start watching more and more. Big fan of Candy Muse.
Big fan of Candy Muse.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So,
if wrestlers could promo the way Candy Muse promos,
yeah.
we wouldn't have to hire Jelly Roll to come help us get TV viewers. Candy Muse knows how to sell me on a
Oh,
product.
absolutely.
Billy Dixon, who's a wrestler, said to me one time, Effy, you're a stunt queen. And I think in drag you often have stunt queens. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I think there is something in drag where like you can shock the girls or shock an audience and gain a reputation of like what's she gonna do next. And I think like positive, I think we're both stunt queens. I think we know how to get the people talking. I think we know how to get the people like turned up. And I think we also know like we have to meet expectation. And I feel like when you're lighting yourself on fire and you're going through glass and there's barbed wire everywhere and stuff is exploding, part of me, I said it to you at the last Blood and Honey show, and I didn't mean it genuinely, but I meant it from a place of like concern and love, which was like, you're giving them too much. You're giving them so much. And I see you meeting audience expectations and then exceeding them. And I think you have to be a stunt queen a little bit to do that. I think it's a good marker.
Absolutely. I am honored to be a stunt queen.
I'm honored to be
Yeah.
a stunt queen too. I think we should keep bringing up more stunt queens. Because you know
Absolutely.
what? You still got to be a queen. It's not just
yeah.
you're not just a stunt. You're a stunt queen. You're defining it. That was
go.
a stunt right there. Well, what do you got coming up next? Where can people find you? I wanna get them as excited about your shit as I am because I'm fired up.
Yeah,
Do
so
we have time to do a segment?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
So, because of your love for things of jackass, CKY nature, thought we could do a segment called Steve O or Steve No, where I'm going to run you through some of the jackass stunts and you would give your answer. So yes would be Steve O, no, obviously Steve No.
got you.
Ooh,
Sounds
okay.
good.
Okay, let's start with the fish hook fishing, the Steve-O in the mouth fish hook.
Does this include getting in the water with the sharks too?
100%. You have
Okay.
to do the full. Like, so we're essentially doing. This is a joke for you film nerds out there. We're doing the Lars von Trier. What is it? Where they make him remake the movie 5 different times. So the movie you have to remake is Jackass, and we're going.
And we're
second
remaking
version.
it. We're choosing the stunts we're gonna do.
The Steve-O related stunts. I would probably do the hook through the cheek, but I think it's the live sharks that is kind of the dicey
Okay,
part
so
of
that's
this.
pushing you over to a Steve No.
I'm gonna go with Steve No due to the sharks.
all right.
Yeah.
I don't like the ocean at all. Like I'm not about it. And I think they know what we've done to them. I think the sharks would kill me. And I think I'm so good with fish hook through my mouth, but it's Steve No for me because of the sharks. If you take the sharks out, I'd put a fish hook through my mouth right now.
Okay. Okay. All right. For this next one, friend of the show, Stunt Marshall, might be particularly good at this one. What if the hallway slap, the giant hand hallway slap?
That would be Steve O for me because that's one of the funniest bits.
Okay,
And also, I think the part about that bit is that you don't see it coming. So I probably wouldn't ask for it to begin with. That just getting hit with a giant hand. So yeah, I would go with Steve O just because it's hilarious.
I like to see it coming.
Okay.
I like to see it coming. I'm trying to be positive because I feel like I'm gonna have to do some stunts. So like part of me is like Steve-O right away. But most of the time when people punch me, I at least get to see it happening. You know what I mean? Where it's not a surprise. Where I think I'd be genuinely upset if I was surprise slapped to the point where like I would ask you to delete the footage because I would be such a baby about it. Like I would survive it just fine, but I think like you filming it being on film, that I would look down upon the person I would become if I was surprised by it.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Steve No.
So Steve No on that one. Steve-O and Steve No for the giant. It's just the fact that it's a giant hand also makes it so much funnier. Okay, this one would be a Steve-O for me. The rental car derby.
You just derby the cars?
Yeah, where they go and rent rental cars and then run them in the demolition derby.
Steve, no. I can't mess my credit up any worse. I can't mess my credit up any worse. If I'm not in charge of the car, let's go. But if that car's in my name, I just paid off my super speeder ticket.
Oof, I feel you. Yeah, same.
All right, Nathan, what about you on this one?
I think for very similar reasons, I cannot do that.
We cannot be tracked down by this.
Right? Yeah, I don't need more car-related crimes in my life.
Okay, let's do one last one. The classic porta potty slingshot.
Oh, and I feel like I have to say Steve O to one, and then now I've got to do the toilet one. I'll say this. I went to a rave New Year's Eve in Brooklyn at a boathouse, and I went in the porta potty, and it hadn't been cleaned the whole rave. And that's the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. And I've smelled a dead person. This was a worse smell. I think, like, in my heart, I'm saying Steve no, but the truth is I have to do something for this Jackass remake. So I think I have to go in the toilet. I think legally speaking, I Steve O have to go in the toilet.
I mean, it's one of the most iconic stunts of all of Jackass. So who would I be to turn it down to get into the porta potty?
The role of a king?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to say Steve O.
Okay, all right.
Wow.
Let's do one final one. The new Jackass movie. Steve O or Steve No. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to say this. I think men need this emotional
Yeah.
break. I think for men, they need it.
Are you fully caught up on the movies?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
All
okay.
of them. Yeah.
Okay, have you seen the trailer for the new one and how they're basically like in their coffins about to die making the last Jackass movie?
I love it. They don't even need to do the old man latex makeup anymore. Like
No.
they could just
The dirty
Johnny
grandpa.
Knoxville starts tearing up. It's a whole thing.
He can't get concussions anymore, I heard. They said he had too many, and so he has to not do certain stunts.
I saw the interview, and there was something like that choked me up seeing Johnny Knoxville realize he can't get just decimated by bills anymore.
Yeah, the sub's dilemma, you know?
You know?
It's
Man.
the depth of the depravity. I don't think
Truly
we're going to be
heartbreaking.
starring in the new Jackass movie. I will say, Jimmy Lloyd, I went with Jimmy Lloyd to see the last one, and him and Zach are friends, Zach-ass.
Yeah.
And so he's just texting him during the movie about the movie while I'm like, am I a 34-year-old taking Jimmy Lloyd to see Jackass? Yes, I am.
Hell yeah.
That's my future.
That's so funny.
What a beautiful time. Nathan, I really appreciate you coming here and talking with me. And I'm so excited to see what Blood and Honey does. I'm so excited to see the next journey and generation. And I hope that we find a giant medieval type castle to run the show in. Because I think when I watch those gladiators, I feel like I'm a part of the castle. I feel like we're back in the feudal times, and that rules.
Hell yeah. That's the vibe I'm going for. So if you're out there and you have a giant castle in Georgia, hit me up so we can make this dream a reality.